Episode 6 of Slow Horses Season 3 begins with River out cold. Shawn covers for Louisa so she can get to her partner and check on him. Thankfully he's still alive, but they need to get out. They're pinned in tight, but Shawn knows his stuff and he managed to dispatch several soldiers, giving them enough of an escape route. Who gets shot on the way out? Duffy curses when Fenwick calls, asking for more backup, and their small window of time is open for the trio to escape. There's a hatch at the end of the tunnel, so the three of them race along, but Shawn ends up shot as a result. He's still alive, but he's bleeding out. He's grief-stricken over Ben's death and pleads with River and Louisa to help him. He eventually asks to stop, knowing that he's bleeding out and that running is futile. He's going to buy them some time instead. The door is blown open, and the echo reverberates through the tunnels. Louisa and River speed up, while Shawn tries to hold them off. While he cradles his gun, he urges River and Louisa to get it out there, read the files. Do River, Louisa, and Shawn escape? Of course, unbeknownst to everyone else, Marcus and Shirley happen to be higher up and under fire from a bunch of troops on the perimeter. Shirley ends up heading out to flank them, but she's inexperienced and her gun seizes up. A cat and mouse chase ensues, but she manages to keep her cool and kill the soldier with a sharp of a CD. Down in the tunnels, Shawn is shot dead for his troubles, while Shirley saves Marcus. Unfortunately, Marcus finds himself up at gunpoint by Duffy, who shows with a rifle of his own. However, the gun chamber is empty, and the pair end up trading blows. As they do, Shirley drives into the soldiers outside and manages to dispatch all three. It couldn't have come at a faster time, as Shirley opens the hatch and manages to free River and Louisa. With the files in hand, Louisa encourages River to rush out and get the files out. Marcus is still inside, and Louisa manages to save him before it's too late. What happens at Sarah's house? Meanwhile, Jackson laces explosives around the house to buy his guys some time. He also puts Pringles all the way up the stairs to serve as a makeshift noise alarm, while Catherine is forced into the closet to hide. It's like Home Alone as the pair of soldiers head in to try and find Jackson and instead come up against a litany of different traps. In the wake of this, Ho shows up with his party bus after hotwiring it and declares that the Household Cavalry is on the way. Sarah chokes out one of the soldiers, while Jackson Lamb hits the killer blow on the other. It turns out Catherine was bait this whole time. Eventually they head outside, just in time for Ho to slam through the front door with his bus, but it's too late. Sarah isn't particularly happy that her house has been destroyed, but at least they're still alive. Does River leak the files? In the wake of this chaos, Ingrid is intent on twisting the story to her liking and hiding it from the press. Diana taunts her though, pointing out that she hasn't heard from Duffy and the others, meaning something may be awry. Diana is convinced that's not what's happening, but of course we know things aren't great. As news breaks online over what's happened, Diana tells Ingrid she's lost and needs to take it like a woman. Well, she grabs a bottle of alcohol and heads off to drown her sorrows. At the same time, River returns to his grandfather with the file. His grandfather shrugs it off as just a tale, but he gets the details wrong. Tenny's reputation will be destroyed if this gets out, and so too will the security services too. David claims Allison's death is just hearsay, but River is adamant this is the right thing to do. However, David decides to burn the files, believing this is the right thing to do to protect him. How does Slow Horses Season 3 end? Meanwhile, Jackson and Catherine end up discussing Charles and the subject of honor. Jackson eventually tells the truth about Charles, including how he's a traitor and selling secrets to the Russians. He kept Catherine on because he was drunk and knew he could rely on her not to dig too deeply into his affairs. Even worse, Charles led a trail and had every intention of making her take the fall for everything. Of course, we knew all of this since last season, but now the truth comes out to Catherine. As a result, she decides to quit and walk away. Ho and Jackson drive back the opposite way, while River leaves his grandfather's place, with the real files in his car. He knew his grandfather would do this and has a backup. What happens during the epilogue? Jackson meets with Diana and the pair and their bench gone. Instead, the pair head off to get an ice cream, where Diana tentatively thanks him for leaking the file and getting it out. Well, apparently it wasn't Jackson's doing, but actually River Cartwright. Diana is now first desk, but there's a big mess for her to deal with. She wipes her hand of the deaths, but now she's in the hot seat and she's going to be the one to blame for everything. Catherine is gone and Jackson looks set to take on the reins of Slough House without one of his best assets. Will he survive? The episode review. The season finale rounds everything out with a bombastic finale. As the files are leaked, there are big changes at MI5 and there's plenty to whet the appetite going forward. It's clear that River's decision will have big consequences across the seasons ahead, which will continue on the story that this one has opened up. Pandora's box is well and truly open now, and quite what impact that will have on everybody else is anyone's guess. In the meantime, there's been some great drama throughout, and although Sean ended up dying at the end, he at least completed his mission in getting the files out where they needed to be. Sean essentially served as a martyr for a greater purpose, and the touch at the end for him return to Allison is a welcome addition. With everything hanging in the balance, the preview for the next season looks really intriguing, and it'll be interesting to see just what direction this one takes next.